Roger, nothing makes me happier than the thought of spring coming, even if it means I have to mow the lawn.
Don't you love that time of year?
Well, you know, we got a lot of questions about mowing the lawn, or specifically about sharpening lawnmower blades.
Yeah.
So when do you have to sharpen them?
Kevin, you let the lawn tell you when to sharpen. You take a piece of grass after you cut it and you look at it. If it's a nice clean cut on the top of a piece of grass, then your blade is great.
Okay.
If it's all ragged on the edge, that's not good.
Do I really care if it's ragged on the edge?
Yeah, for two reasons. One, a disease could get into the grass because it's ragged. The other is your lawn, 2 or 3 days after you cut it, is going to have a brown cast to it. It's not going to look good.
Okay, so we need to sharpen it. And how often am I likely to have to sharpen every season?
I want you to sharpen right before the first cut. That's the most important thing. After that, it depends on how good you are with a mower. If you don't hit rocks or anything, if you hit a rock, you got to sharpen it right away. Usually, if you don't, 2 or 3 times during the growing season, you're good.
Okay, so let's talk about getting the blade off. Any tips?
Yep, the first thing we do before we do anything to the mower for safety purposes, we remove the spark plug wire.
So get that off of the
There's
metal tip
no way
right
this
there.
engine can fire and injure you now.
Gotcha.
The other thing is the spark plug wants to be up. It's important when you tip the mower up that this is straight up in the air.
So tip it this way, not side to side.
Right, if you go side to side, the oil or the gas can come out of the machine. This way you don't have to empty the oil or gas to work on it.
Okay, so the spark plug's right in front there.
Right here, it's gone.
And that means I can tip it this way.
Straight up in the air.
All right.
There you go.
I'll secure this for you.
But now you can see right here that we have easy access to the 2 nuts that are holding the blade in place. A lot of people will use a piece of wood to hold the blade to keep it from turning. That's good if you can keep it at a 90-degree angle. But if the wood's at an angle and you take and really force that blade, you could bend the blade and then the blade would be no good.
Okay.
So what I like to do is put on a glove. I'm going to grab the blade. Now this is the important part. You want to have the right size socket for these nuts. If you don't, you can round them off very easily because you're putting so much pressure on them to remove them.
And then you'll never sharpen your blade.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to look underneath my mower.
Why, you haven't sharpened your blade lately?
Well, my grass hasn't said anything yet.
Well, let me show you several ways to sharpen a lawnmower blade. The first is going to be with a metal file. First, I'm going to put the blade into a vise and tighten down to hold it securely in place. I'm going to take and put on my other glove. This is a metal file. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trace the angle on this blade to keep it the same. I'm just going to make strokes in one direction until I get a nice edge on that blade.
And that's filing on the downstroke?
That's it. It only files on one stroke. I'm just going to keep going over this angle till I get all the nicks out of the blade and a nice sharp edge. I'm just going to go along the back and take off any burrs, and that's pretty good. Now, if you have a cordless drill, you can get an attachment to put in it to sharpen your lawnmower blades. And what it is a sharpening stone on the top and then a plastic guide, and that just goes right into the drill. And if you bring the drill over here, I want you to grab some eye protection too.
I got some right here.
Okay? And that should run right across the edge with a guide on the back side.
Well, that's pretty easy to use, and yeah, what do you think? That's pretty sharp.
That's great. Now, Kevin, there are some other tools you can use. You can use a handheld grinder, or you can use a bench grinder. Now, this is the tool I prefer because it makes short work of it.
And you're sharpening a lot of blades.
Yeah, and I'm going to put on some eye protection. Turn the grinder on. That looks pretty good, Kevin. Now you have to remember that when you're sharpening a blade, you are actually removing metal. So you want to make sure you remove the same amount from each side so that the blade is in balance.
Because that's actually spinning really fast off of the center axis.
That's right, and if it's out of balance, it can cause damage to the machine. Now to check the balance, you can get a little plastic balancer like this. Simply set the blade on. You see that end's heavier. So I would take this blade and grind off some more off the heavy side.
Okay.
Now, if you don't have a balancer, you could simply put a small nail into any piece of wood and then just hang it on there, and it should.
Oh, yeah.
There it goes.
Okay.
That's the heavy end.
All right, so let's have a look at the blade that you and I both sharpen and see if we're in balance. Hey, how about that, huh?
I like that.
That's nice.
Now we're ready to put it back on the machine. But before I mount it on the machine, I want to clean all this grass out from underneath. Then I'm going to mount this blade on and tighten it properly.
Nice, Roger. Bring on the spring.